That's recording.
This is the meeting of the Executive Cabinet Member for Climate Change and Environment taking place on Monday, the 8th of December 2025. I'm Councillor Richard Sylvester, the Executive Cabinet Member, and I'd like to welcome councillors and officers of Bolton Council to this meeting and to members of the public if you're watching the recorded version on the Bolton Council YouTube channel. Item 1 on the agenda is the monitoring of Executive Cabinet Member decisions. This report was sent out by email prior to this meeting. And looking at the monitoring report, we have some updates on previous decisions made. Are there any questions or comments from members on the call regarding the monitoring report? It doesn't look like there is. I'm requested to note the report, so I do note that report. So the monitoring report is noted. We go to item 2 on the agenda, which is the Fields in Trust report. And we're going to go over to John Gregory, who will take us through this report, who's our head of service. John.
Thank you, Councillor Sylvester. Yeah, this is a report. A very brief summary of this report is that we're requesting some delegated authority to be passed down to the Director of Place in relation to deeds of dedication and protection for our parks and open spaces. Fields in Trust is a charity. They've existed for, I think, around about 100 years. They started out as the Playing Fields Trust, I think it was, or something like that. That they now work with local authorities and other landowners up and down the country to provide protection for space, particularly public spaces like parks and playing fields that are of value to local residents. And the purpose of a deed of dedication, a deed of protection, is to protect that piece of land, that pocket of land, that park, playing field, from further development and from being sold off or leased off for other use. Essentially, it protects those parks in perpetuity to ensure they are always available for residents and visitors to the borough. So this is a piece of work that we've been working on for quite some time. We've had several PDG meetings about this. The process is we have to show to Fields in Trust that we are owners of the land, that it is over 0.2 hectares in size, and that there's no other charitable status in place for that park or piece of land. We do have some parks in the borough that already have charitable status in. Leverhulme is a good example of that one, but we have several other parks that already have charitable status. And as such, they are already protected from any further development. So there's no need to go through this process with those parks. In this case, the intention is for us to start with Queen's Park to get a deed of dedication in place through Fields of Trust for Queen's Park as soon as we can after this process, after the governance has been signed off and after the authority has been delegated to the director. Once we've got that one in place, there's various things that we would have to do after this report. We need to meet with Fields in Trust. They need to come and visit the piece of land. We need to provide evidence that there isn't charitable status, that we are owners. We have to do some work with our colleagues in legal in terms of getting all the information about that piece of land. Once we've got all that together, we can a deed of dedication will be drafted up by Fields in Trust. And we will go through a process of getting that signed off and approved. So in this case, the report talks through that process. It explains what it is we're looking to achieve, the protection of these parks from development in perpetuity. And it asks for permission to delegate those authorities to the Director of Place and to our legal and finance colleagues as well. Obviously, if you've any questions about the report, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, thank you very much, John. And I will open this up to questions, comments from members to John. So please indicate now. And the first to indicate is Councillor Hewitt. So we'll go over to Councillor Hewitt, please.
Thank you, ECM, and thank you, John, for the overview of the report. I think it looks good on paper. Just a couple of questions, if I may. Sort of once the delegation's taken place, sort of talks about in 1.22 and 1.23, sort of like working to identify suitable. And I just wondered, from your perspective or John's perspective, what you might deem as suitable, because obviously it says sort of all parks, and it looks like it sort of makes a case for a case-by-case basis, and that you will work sort of like through it in a continual program. So I just wanted your views on that. And then as a second question, obviously, we're happy with Fields and Trust as it is now. Hopefully it never sort of changes that direction of travel. And it sort of says in the example deed of dedication, Fields and Trust and successors. If the situation were to change and we weren't happy with that organisation, are there protections in place for us as a local authority? Thank you.
We have actually been meeting members of the council through a policy development group. I don't know if you've been a member of that policy development group, Councillor Hewitt, but members of that policy development group, I'm a member of it. It's chaired by Councillor Vivas, and there was a number of larger parks which went on a kind of a top 10 list, priority list. Queen's Park is obviously one of them, which officers are looking at now with Fields in Trust. But that's been the process so far. But just to reassure everybody as well on the call, that policy development group, which has been meeting about every 6 months, will continue to meet, and officers will update that policy development group. John Gregory may wish to talk about that process. Back to that policy development group.
Yes, just to add a little bit more to what Councillor Sylvester's said in terms of selection of parks. We started with Queen's Park because we needed to start somewhere, B, because this isn't my real office window, as you probably guessed, but if I look out my office window, Queen's Park is in front of us, and it's a sort of central park, and it was a good starting point for this project. I think I'd like to favour parks where there is a risk of further development at first, get some protection in sooner rather than later for those parks. We as a service act as a gatekeeper for any inquiries about buying pieces of land and turning parts of parks into car parks and things like that. So we know where those conversations are taking place. At the same time, we did get members of the PDG to nominate parks within their boroughs, and I have a list. I haven't got it available at the moment, so I apologise, but I have a list of parks that were preferred by members of that PDG that we could start on as well. Ideally, we'd get this protection in place for all of our parks, and that's the long-term aim, but we have to do it one or two at a time, because it's a considerable piece of work each time we do this, more so probably for colleagues from legal than for us, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we've, that we do it each one properly. I did promise legal at a previous meeting that I wouldn't put 69 applications on their desk in one go, because I think that would have broken the system. So we will be working through this one or two at a time, and I think any time we have this this process to go through, and I think Councillor Sylvester, you'll back me up on this, we will be consulting with local ward members to let them know that that's what we're planning on doing. And we're happy to work with ward members if there's anybody at the moment who is particularly concerned about a park in their part of the borough. We're happy to work with ward members and sort of come up with a priority order for that. In terms of Fields of Trust, your second part of your question related to effectively what happens if Fields in Trust either doesn't exist anymore or the relationship breaks down. We've gone through quite a long process to get here at the moment, and we have sort of really drilled into the details behind these deeds of dedication. You know, I manage not just the 69 parks, but, you know, probably over 100 other green spaces and nature reserves and playing fields around the borough. I didn't want to do anything that would hamper our ability to manage those open green spaces, or to keep them, you know, as well as we possibly can do for residents and visitors. I'm very assured by Fields in Trust that this will not prevent us from doing anything that we need to do within those parks, as long as that involves a benefit to the community and an enhancement to those parks and open spaces. It would prevent development of say housing or industrial or car parks or whatever like that, which is exactly what I think we're looking to do. But in terms of managing the park, say if I wanted to build some new toilets in Mossbank Park, or we wanted to put some, you know, some construction that was a benefit to Moses Gate, a bird watching hide or something like that, we wouldn't even need to consult with Fields in Trust. I've already discussed all those issues with them, and there is absolutely no need to consult with them. There is a process, however, to apply for permission for further development if the council changes its mind in the future. But we have to be aware that this makes it much more difficult. The idea of this is it protects these parks from further development. And it does make it much more difficult for parcels of land to be sold off from our parks for development that isn't to the benefit of the park itself, or the residents and people who are going to be using it. So as long, you know, I can't say that we're not. We are going into this with our eyes open. We know exactly what it is that we're getting into with Fields in Trust. They work with a number of other local authorities and other landowners up and down the country. And they've been around for 100 years, and that they are well established. So I think that's the best answer I can give you. What would happen if we had a fallout with them? I'd have to cross that bridge when we get it and take legal advice and all the rest of it. But up to this point, I think we're comfortable with the relationship. And you know, everything I've heard, every question I've asked in relation to my concerns about managing those pieces of land has been answered, and I'm happy with it. So I hope that reassures you.
Thank you. No, that's very reassuring answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hewitt. We'll go over to Councillor Hanif Ali now.
Yeah, I just want to, you know, thank the officers. Obviously, it's very important that we protect our parks. And I do have a green space. I don't know if it's called a park. We used to call it Tootles Park when we were young. It's where City of Trees are going to plant some trees for us, Councillor Sylvester, off Halliwell Road. And I am concerned because that's been a green piece of land seen by the locals as a park, but I don't think it's called a park. And I wondered if that was on the list. You can let me know later, but I think that's a green space in our area that we're really concerned about.
Okay, so if you could email me the details of that piece of land, because I don't intimately know every single pocket of land that we've got, but if you could email me the details of that piece of land and maybe identify where it is on a map, I'll have a look at it and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, John will make sure that it is actually council land. And are you concerned that there's some kind of development that's going to be taking place on it, Councillor Ali?
Yeah, it's just that it's, as I say, not described as a park. There's not a sign saying it's a park, and it's a large piece of green. Everybody in the community sees it as a park. And as I say, you're aware of City of Trees that are going to come and plant a load of trees there for us. And I'd just like it to be, you know, protected and recognised as a park, really.
Sure. Well, John will look into that for you and come back to you on that one, Councillor Ali.
Thank you very much.
All right. Any more questions or comments from any members on the call? As I said in the Bolton news last week, I'm all for this, and I am going to approve this this evening. It's I think very important that we protect our parks and open spaces so that unnecessary development doesn't occur. And basically, we are the custodians of our parks and open spaces at this present time. We don't know who is to come in the future. So I think it's very important now that we do this, and it's very important that this process is in place, and that's what this report is all about, putting the process in place so the officers can work with Fields in Trust, that the legal process is there for officers to follow. So that's why I'm very pleased to approve this report. So I am recommended to enter into a legally binding agreement with the Fields in Trust to protect all the borough's parks in perpetuity, with the exception of parks designated as charitable land. I'm also recommended to delegate authority to the Director of Place to approve the deeds of dedication. And I'm also recommended to delegate the area of phasing and all legal formalities to the borough solicitor. So I approve all of those recommendations. So that is approved. Can I thank members for their time on this call, and also to officers for the work on this. And the first one should be Queen's Park in due course in the new year, hopefully. The Policy Development Group will meet again soon as well. John will update the Policy Development Group. He'll keep me informed as well. And then we'll start on the next parks, which are on that priority list. John will also get back to Councillor Ali about that green space in his own ward as well. So thank you very much, everybody. And I'll see you at the next Executive Cabinet Member meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you.
Thank you.